Going twice, sold. You're listening to the Property Pod.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Property Pod for 2021. Your easy to listen to and accessible way into the real estate market. I'm your host, Aaron Horn, and I'm joined at the desk again in 2021 by 414 Property Co. real estate agents, Patrick Berry and John McGregor.
Welcome back, gentlemen.
Yeah,
Hey everyone,
nice
how
to
we
be
going?
bloody good. It's good to be back. It's
Season 3.
season
Yeah,
3.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sounds better when you say it that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Normally, like a show will get like the first season to kind of build an audience. The second season, you kind of find out whether you're real or fake, and then they'll cancel you.
Yes.
No one can cancel us. We're in charge.
Not at this point. Well, I think, like you said at the last one, is it's not as fun. It's more. Was it? It's fun. It's more fun.
It's more
than it should be.
than it should be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No one can cancel us because we the only people putting it out there.
Well, we could in inverted commas cancel ourselves by saying
Yeah,
something
exactly.
really inappropriate and have to fly to Antarctica or something.
And
but-
do an apology to ourselves. Do something really, really sad.
Indeed. No, John's brought up our final episode of last year, which was clearly one of our highest rating of all time. We brought in a celebrity, a Goldie, a Logie winner, your brother.
That's right. That was
And
fun.
a ripper episode. If you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to it. It says Christmas in the title, but it's just a really, really good listen. And this year we've got heaps planned. We're going to jump into 2021 with both feet and really go for it.
I'm glad you've got heaps planned, Aaron, because I'm thinking, what have we got organised? But that's why I have you working on my team.
That's right.
Aspirations, dreams, it's all there.
No, we're going to really kick the podcast into gear in 2021 and try and catch some more of our big fish out there and reach our net wider and try and find some really interesting people to talk to and have our listeners learn from.
Well, the good thing is too, I mean, there's so much new stuff that's even happened in these last couple of months, and even with the articles we've got today, bringing back a lot of our previous guests is still really useful because it's just them being able to cover off on a much deeper topic or even deep dive even further than what we had before. So it's being, rather than just skimming the surface, we could probably start to look at real practical means as well.
So look out, Simon Presley. We'll be calling you soon, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, that's an interesting quote. One of the, for the investments into Tasmania will be interesting because it's straight out of this article that from the RIT's produced. May as well swing into it, shall we?
All right, let's do this. Why don't we cut to a break and then get straight into it, Ayaz?
Sounds good to me, yeah.
Whoop, whoop.
No time like the present.
Beep, burp, beep. Got R2D brew sitting on the table.
It's Radio John, not TV. No one can get your joke apart from us at the table.
Damn it.
Everyone else.
What's he talking about?
Oh, that John.
414 Property Co. All types of property for all types of people. At 414 Property Co, we believe that property is for everyone. White collar, blue collar, no collar, dog collar. Whoever you are, we will find the property for you. Contact 414 Property Co at www.414.com.au.
All right, guys, 2021, things have been really, really exciting here in Hobart and here in Tasmania. We're just kind of looking through things and kind of feeling out what's happened since the world kind of lost its mind and caught a pandemic.
Yes.
And, it'd be really interesting to go through some stats on what's happened in Hobart kind of in that period.
So realestate.com.au actually brought out some stats recently, and they're from the time frame, John, of December 2019 through to December 2020. So just finishing up, obviously, a couple of months ago. And what they've done is they've actually gone and ranked all of the best performing suburbs for Hobart and all the other capital cities around Australia as to who's improved the most in value. And I thought it was really interesting to see what topped the list here in Hobart. So, I thought we'd have a quick look at that this morning.
So, just to clear, this is stats that ran essentially the entirety of 2020. So, essentially December 2019 to the end of 2020.
So we're talking, 2 months before the pandemic really hit through to the end of December. So,
but just a really good gauge of what happened in 2020 for the market.
During COVID-19.
Yeah, cool.
So, and it's completely different to what most people probably would have expected back in, February, March when the world went into lockdown.
Well, that's why I wanted to clarify, because looking at the graphs and stuff here that you've got in front of me, I'm like, oh, this is not kind of what we're all anticipating right at the start of the year. It's kind of like the the upper bits look really nice.
The upper bits look really nice.
You know how like your brother was talking about how if you flip a graph upside down, it still just
that's
reads
true.
exactly the same?
That's right, yeah,
If you
yeah.
flip this upside down, it still makes everything look really good. Let's look at these suburbs. Sorry, I digress.
John, you go for it, mate.
Well, this one I can really empathise with the first one being Dodgers Ferry. So if that was if 26% growth in 12 months, now sitting at 440 grand, well that means that what we're talking about is probably started at 360, 380 12 months ago. So that is phenomenal. And you think our Aaron who's joined us now, he's out at Sorrel, and what was the one that we had up at sold at Nicholas Drive?
I was going to say you had one in Dodgers Ferry last year.
Absolutely, and that sold bang right on that new median price.
Yep.
And that was right at the start of the year as well. So look, you were pushing the boundary.
Yeah, that was mid. So what we had, there was 17 Alomes Road Fawcett was for sale at the time. So we're talking sort of May. No, these came on just after we merged. So we're talking sort of July, August, I think at this point.
Okay.
And what was interesting with that though is at the time we'd still had. Open homes were a thing by that stage because I think that started to be able to relax the rules a bit, but we still had to be a bit careful. And I mean, where I suppose Dodgers Ferry is phenomenal is we've got where you can take an extra half an hour, 45 minutes from Hobart Drive, is that everyone that is familiar with that area and are buying into it, it seems that we started to see that they either grew up in the area, familiar with it, or they could absolutely see the potential of a lifestyle property down that way.
Well, that's it. The suburb has changed its demographic completely. Like my
100%.
mother and father-in-law live down there, and in the time they've been there, it's just a different area. It's a lot of young families moving in.
Yep.
They're moving there because, a 30-minute commute to town isn't a problem anymore.
Yep.
Or they don't see it as a problem because of the lifestyle it brings with it. You've got the beach, you've got really good public school down there. It's just got a really nice family atmosphere now, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's probably one of the most interesting ones. What that word I learnt years ago, gentrification, where it for many years it had had a bad reputation, but that's just certainly not the case anymore. And to see that as being the number one performing suburb across the states is amazing. Well, in Hobart, sorry.
It's interesting. Kind of. I'm just trying to extrapolate some of this information out of this through my little filter here. So the graph we're looking at is saying suburbs with the largest increase in property prices.
So largest
capital
value
city.
increase.
Yeah, largest value increase across that thing. So looking at the top 5 here, they're all houses, and just looking at each suburb, I'm just going to run through them. So it's Dodgers Ferry, New Norfolk, Berrydale, Bridgewater, and Rugby. Kind of what you've described, John, there with the way the suburbs have changed in perception and the demographic that's in them. You could kind of take all of those. Maybe not Berrydale as that's kind of a little more central, but the other ones are those ones that are on the fringe of kind of the main CBD areas, and they're that little bit extra further to travel, and they kind of have all had negative connotations towards them at some stage in their period. You don't want to live in this place, you don't want to live in that place.
Yep.
However, that gentrification of the area is really interesting, that these are the places that are having the real
Yeah, and I don't
large
want
increase.
to jump in on our next article that we'll lead into, but when we start talking about the next one, you'll see why these suburbs have probably performed pretty well.
Oh, Pat.
See, I've actually researched.
Yeah, that's-
for 2 minutes
that's really
before we
good.
started recording, but hey,
Well, and another thing too, so Bridgewater, Rugby, and a large contingent of New Norfolk did have a big element of government housing established, and that's what's surreal about it. So take Bridgewater, for example. You've got this suburb that's running right onto the Derwent River, so some of the best views you can possibly get, yet because of its original purpose for being established, obviously it's taken long time for that to slowly start to change, and that would, I suppose, it naturally has to happen if properties continuously become less affordable closer to. People realise, well, maybe if I just it's not so much, and you just get one family in there, one family in there, one family in there, and the perception slowly starts to change. And sometimes we've got that Glenorchy same element where it's the north of the flannelette curtain, and people hold these ideals that just aren't relevant anymore.
no,
Yeah.
you're definitely right there. And obviously, Bridgewater's my backyard and where I do a lot of work.
Exactly.
And over the last 5 years, it's just such a diverse demographic and a
100%.
diverse amount of people that live there now. It's not just what it used to be 10 years ago.
Yep.
And now it's definitely a family area. It's definitely a a new changing area, and it's definitely more acceptable by a lot of people, which is fantastic to see because it's a great suburb.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's got great views. It's got some outstanding parklands. It's got a beautiful walkway along the waterfront that you can do, and it's got a brand new Woolworths and a good sized Coles. So
Yep.
it's got everything you need. And if you love KFC, it's there too. So we're good. I know that one well.
Well, I mean, even say rugby, for example, you've got the new developments that have happened surrounding that too, where it be Oak Downs or Glebe Hill, etc. So, a lot of those...
And rugby itself's got a few new subdivisions in it as well.
100%, yeah. And where you've got the new expectation, those new properties, we just had one in Emmeline Court that had just sold. There was a little section that got built in 2010. And that went for just over 400,000, and then all the new ones are sort of going from 400 plus up to in excess of 500 grand at this point. So you've got young people or you're looking to build new properties in these suburbs. Like you've been handling most of the new development in Bridgewater, Paddy. There's brand new developments happening in these areas. So by natural course of that, the prices obviously will increase, but so does the potential of the suburb and the interest.
So as a question from the other side of the fence, kind of looking at it from a buyer's perspective, is this good news or bad news? Kind of the places that maybe were considered more affordable for the first home buyer or somebody that's kind of wanting to get into the market with their deposit. I know there's schemes and stuff that will help you out, but kind of if the largest increase in property prices is in the place where you used to be able to buy.
It's getting tricky.
It's getting tricky,
and it's always going to get tricky.
Yep.
I don't think anyone expects prices to drop over the next couple of years.
Yep.
And the only way prices will steady out and this increase won't continue to happen is if government releases more land for subdivisions and councils push through new subdivisions so more builds can happen.
Yep.
The reason these prices keep going up and the reason why property market has been so strong over the last 3 or 4 years is there's literally a lack of housing in Tasmania.
Yep.
And that's right across the state.
Which is a whole nother episode and kind of rental
definitely.
crisis and all the things that are kind of... Did you see that thing in the newspaper? Never mind. We'll come back to that in another episode. Sorry. We'll stick with what we've got today just because we've got, some really good stuff here. Moving from there, it's kind of... That's the top 5 housing ones. And then if you look in the unit prices with the price increase, it's funny because you kind of got your Kingston, Sandy Bay, Howrahs in that zone. So is that kind of saying that the people that can't afford the houses in those areas will still pay a premium dollar just to live the unit kind of lifestyle, which is similar to this kind of town planning stuff you covered off with Christy?
Well, I think it's interesting you'd say you've got a diverse range of people, but that's where I think with, Christy, we want to enable a diverse range of property styles as well. So not everyone needs the big backyard for dogs and cats, right? So that's where the diverse, range for property enables for people to sell out of their big homes to get into a more affordable and convenient lifestyle. So that frees up stock in itself as well. I know with the last unit that we sold in Sandy Bay, just a little one bedroom, went to a young girl on her own.
Yep.
She's got her car.
And she didn't care about the size of the unit. It was the suburb that she wanted to live in.
It was
so she
purely location.
Yeah, so she made the choice that size wasn't important to me, location was important to me.
Yep.
And that's just a different type of buyer that's out there. Right?
Absolutely. And
some people will sacrifice distance to be able to get the larger home, where others will want the convenience and will settle for the smaller property.
And and sometimes too, the prestige of being able to say that you live in a certain suburb is important to many people. And
Sandy Bay is actually the one I was surprised made the top 5 list, to be honest, under units. Not because it's not a good suburb, but mainly because obviously last year we viewed Tas not being fully up and running, and all that accommodation that once would have been university accommodation from a rental perspective, it's been a lot quieter. I know we've seen in the rental market that units in Sandy Bay take a lot longer to rent than what they once did.
Yep.
And it just surprised me to see that people were still... that prices, it's increased enough, I guess, to be able to make the top 5. That's what shocked me.
I think it's relevant, to see the difference, though. So say take Glenorchy and Claremont, the prices had increased 18 and 17%, whereas the 2 bottom ones, Sandy Bay and Howrah, 4% and 1%. So by all accounts, on the full median change of, say, 8 to 9%, 10% over 12 months, it's still technically, if they break it down, it hasn't performed as well as the normal median.
Agreed, but there's also bucket loads of suburbs right across Hobart that didn't make the list at all.
Exactly. Well, exactly. But
So Sandy Bay, even at 4%, is surprising that it actually had growth.
Yeah.
Like with the lack of demand for units in that area, I was actually expecting Sandy Bay to be minuses.
Well, and I guess where the other what's it's interesting too is I think the next article we're talking about is okay, if that's the case where houses and land values have driven up a lot, but the top 5 performing in the unit market hasn't as much, why could that be the case? Well, then if not, generally speaking, an investor's market's going to be looking at units for its low maintenance sort of element and just easy returns, where have they gone? Is it then, is it just the locals that are driving the market especially? Is the idea that people in Hobart commonly think, it's all the people from interstate driving up these prices that we can't buy? Well, as it turns out, that's just not the case.
No, so that's a perfect segue across to article number 2 that Pat's found here today, which is another one by our friend of the podcast, Jared Bevan.
Oh, thank Jared for always coming up with content for us to talk about. It's good. Without your mate, we'd be struggling, so thank you.
We're going to have a wallet here called Friends of the Pod.
Yeah.
Just with some faces.
We're almost at that point where we owe him a pair of shoes. for the amount of content he's given us.
Yeah, you'll have to be in charge of buying the shoes, Pat, though, because you're the king of that. Like, you've got one tattooed on your leg, so yeah, you're in charge of the shoe ordering for Jared.
Problem is, I think he's got better sport style than I do, so I don't think I'm going to get one to his level. But anyway, we're digressing, so let's get back to where we were.
John's has been talking about the influence of the locals on the marketplace here, and it's amazing. Looking at this article, it's saying local buyers in Tassie have driven the market higher and higher in 2020 with a record 80% of residential sales made by Tasmanians.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Which is amazing considering if you talk to anyone on the street, they will tell you the reason you can't buy a home in Hobart is because all the interstate people are buying it.
Interstate, international, all these people coming and stealing.
I saw on Facebook last week our friends from buyers agents in Launceston that were on the show. They had a post up with this big happy sold photo, like saying how, and this nice sort of review about how they'd helped somebody buy into Tassie, and all they got was hate messages back about how you're selling to all the investors, not giving us locals an opportunity, and it's just not true.
Yeah,
the investor marketplace over the last 12 months has been pretty much non-existent compared to local buying.
Well, but you bang on because that's what the numbers stacked up. Is it after in what it said in the last since 2018, the investments dropped by 42%. So the proportion of investors buying, 42%. So it's actually, and if you think about when we've interviewed the different buyers agents and the investment agents, of course, they might have been back 2016, 2018, riding that wave of strong growth and then establishing that investment base. And then they're just getting out of the competition run. And so therefore, like the idea that, okay, yes, it's investors keep crushing us the whole time. Yeah, just the numbers now just show that that's just not the case. There's less than there ever has been. So it is home buyers that are driving this.
Which is fantastic because it's good to see local buyers getting into the market.
Well, and that's the thing. It's not necessarily a good or a bad thing, but it's just worth being able to go, well, this is the reality of it. Like it's actually locals who are buying their home.
I think it's easy. I think it's easy to feed into the urban legend of kind of it's all the outsiders kind of trying to get in on our beautiful, pristine place.
Yeah,
and it's easy to feel like, I missed out on that property. It's bloody this bloke in Sydney or this bloke over in Melbourne or wherever. It's easy just to feed that beast and be like, that's the way it is. But it's harder to say, no, I lost to the guy down the street who's my neighbour as well, but he put in the better offer.
Yeah,
and he got the property.
Because it certainly doesn't. Knowing that number doesn't actually help with the feeling of knowing that you keep missing out. Like that's a reality.
No, and a lot of another episode that I hope we can cover off this year is getting your best offer and how to make that offer
how to negotiate.
I think we need to pin 2 conversations there. One's going to be how to present the best offer to be able to win a house, and also how to present the best application to get a rental property in Tasmania. I have people reach out on our Facebook page all the time and say, I missed out on this property. What can I do to make my application better next time?
Yep.
So I think we need to definitely get one of our rental team in as well, and we can have that conversation because that's one that a lot of people are struggling with as well.
Yeah, cool. There's definitely pop them into the thought police.
Boom. But coming back to stats, there's 2 more in this article that I really loved as well. And one was around first-time buyers, and it reads 25.8% increase in first-home buyer activity, which is the highest level since 2009, which is massive.
Well, and that makes sense. So remember in 2009, we still had the double federal home buyers, which was up to $14,000 at that point, and Tassie still had a stamp duty rebate. And then after that, they just removed everything. But now we've got that. Was it the 5% deposit scheme and the Tassie rebate and the first home builders grant? It's not surprising that pattern's repeating.
And this stat alone is probably why areas like Dodgers Ferry have become really popular with first home buyers, and these outer suburbs that we were talking about earlier are now featuring the top 10.
Yep.
Come on, John, we're better than that. Okay, money talks. But I think that's exactly why some of these suburbs are just booming at the moment, because there are so many first-home buyers finally in a position to get into the marketplace. Money's cheap with banks at the moment.
Yep.
There's incentives out there for stamp duty rebates if you're a first-home buyer.
Yep.
There's a lot of good out there that helps you get into the market, which is really positive to see.
Yeah, and it's that thought that if you had to normally wait the extra couple of years in order to save the extra money, well, now it's like, well, no, you can actually have that. You can jump into it now. So it's bringing the opportunity to today, where otherwise they might have had to wait another 12 to 24 months to save up that extra bit of cash.
Now, then the next stat, and this is the scary one to a degree, is that with all this data, they're actually predicting that throughout 2021, prices will continue to rise, and we could see an increase of 10 to 15%, which is incredible, because earlier in the year, late last year, there was a lot of economists saying that if JobKeeper finishes up, which it looks like it will in the future, that we might only see a 2 to 3% increase. But Tasmania seems to be that lucky state that sort of avoided the whole COVID situation. And now it just seems like it's business as normal. Most things are open back up now. Most people are touring the state, having holidays here locally rather than travelling interstate.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's still areas of the industries that are still struggling, but this 10 to 15% price growth prediction is crazy.
Well, and then the thing is too, is you think of what the Glenorchy median now being at about 400 grand or so. Well, I know Claremont was when we were doing the stats yesterday, but then all of a sudden, if the median jumps to 440, but in 12 months' time, is that you're just not going to have enough. People, and that's going to be a real challenge. Is people can't save at the speed at which prices are moving.
So that's good if you're already in the market, but not so good if you're not there yet.
Sitting in sidelines.
So it's kind of, I know like a lot of people in my holidays were asking me like that's why I brought it up just a minute ago. Like, how do you make the best offer? Because I'm sick of missing out.
I think what you need to do as a purchaser is like $5,000 more today. It might seem like it's breaking the bank on you, like that's way more than I should be paying for it. But is $5,000 today better than $60,000 in 12 months' time?
Yeah.
Yes, you don't have a crystal ball and you don't know if the prices will increase that much. But if they do, it's such a little amount of money
over
in
the
comparison over the course of 30 years.
I've heard John make a really good analogy about can you find $10 a week or something like that? Like when you kind of break it down that way, it's like, I know it seems like 5,000 now is really hard to do, but can you not have 2 coffees for the week?
And then there's your money there.
Yeah.
And that's
Shake. We'll still find a way to get the coffees to you, mate. But, we've got a mortgage to pay for too,
And it's that sort of that shift in your mindset too, where it can be, an opportunity cost where someone's trying to play the market or pick it and say, well, I'm afraid I'm paying too much, or what if the market changes? Well, if the opportunities presents itself there today, that's the cost of it today. And who knows, we can make all these predictions or assessments, but, it may go up, it may go down, but if that extra 5,000 is your opportunity cost to secure a house for the next 30 years, well, then that's the way the dice got to roll. It's worth, well, in my opinion, especially if you're going to be there a long time. I've just started to understand now after moving a couple of times where, that little bit of extra just is not a big amount of money over the course of 30 years.
That's it. If you're buying a family home and your intention is, this is your dream home, you're not moving in 12 or 18 months' time.
Yeah.
So, or if everything goes to plan, you're not.
Yep.
But that $5,000 should start to become really relevant at the end of the day.
Yeah, and this is a weird, not analogy, but like a link. When we met, what's a baby doctor called? What are they?
Pediatrician.
Pediatrician. I remember him saying it's kind of like as a
what's a bubba duck?
What's a bubba doctor, man? But I remember when having a chat with him, he's just like, when should I have a baby? He said yesterday. He's just like, have babies, all the babies. Just that's his one push. And I suppose from my perspective is that being a homeowner, if you can do it, is a great thing. If it means you have to, that's I suppose I'm sitting there saying, don't stretch yourself outside your limitations, of course. That's never the advice. But, it's, I suppose, exciting as an estate agent. It's like I see the joy that can come from home ownership, So that's sort of, I suppose, that push that say that little bit extra doesn't.
All the maintenance, the bills, the utilities. It's just a joy, John.
It's a joy.
And wait till he goes and sees the baby doctor.
Yeah.
And that's that on.
No, well, see, Dad's got a joke. He said when I asked him once, Dad, how much does a baby cost? And he goes, I don't know, son. I'm still paying.
I'll send you the bill.
I'll send you the bill.
All right, boys. Well, I think that's actually a really good intro into 2021, kind of getting an idea that this coming year for Hobart, the Hobart marketplace and Tasmania is maybe going to be a challenging year if you're not already in the market.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a good year if you are and you're trying to earn some equity from your place. It'd be really interesting kind of splitting that off and taking the podcast in ways where we can kind of help those people that aren't in it yet and they're listening to this and trying to think how can I get my foot up and how can I know we were having a discussion before we were on air about the pre-marketing phase
off market
and stuff like that. So again, it's one of those things where if we can educate the greater Hobart area, educate all the people that do listen, and even people that aren't from Hobart that are listening from elsewhere. If you want to know anything about our marketplace or the market out there, we're here to help. You guys are always reachable via your social medias, your phone, your email. They can find you, look you up, talk to the boys. But yeah, I think from here it'd be really good to launch 2021 into a stratosphere of we're here to help, we're going to help, and let's kind of get all property for all types of people out there.
I'm in.
Boom. Sounds good.
Awesome. Great to be back on the mics.
100%.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
What did I say? More fun than it should be.
More fun than it should be.
More fun than it should be.
All right.
Awesome. That's the Property Pod episode something.
Season
2021 season 3.
Let's go. Episode 1, season 3.
Yeah. Nice and easy.
Boom.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. See ya. You have been listening to The Property Pod, recorded and edited by 414 Media House in conjunction with 414 Property Co.
This podcast is general information only, and the thoughts and views expressed is the opinion of our panel, and listeners should always seek then use their own investigation into any topic we discuss to ensure they fully understand their own situation.
It does not constitute and should not be relied on as purchasing, selling, financial or investment advice or recommendations, express or implied, and it should not be used as an invitation to take up any agent or investment services. No investment decision or activity should be undertaken on the basis of this information without first seeking qualified and professional advice.